All right, we're ready. We'll bring to order. If you can call roll, I'd appreciate it.
Barnes. Dents.
Here.
Diorio.
Here.
Estes.
Here.
Hastings.
Here.
Murphy.
Here.
Pickett.
Here.
Price.
Here.
Schultz.
Here.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, if you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate that. We'll move on with reading, correction, and disposition of the minutes.
Make a motion, we dispense with the reading and accept them as presented.
Got a motion and a second. Justice Dents. Ready to vote?
Dents.
Here.
Diorio.
Here.
Estes.
Yes.
Hastings.
Yes.
Murphy.
Yeah.
Pickett.
Yeah.
Price.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Justice Barnes,
Barnes
we're
is here.
voting on the minutes. Would you like to vote on
Yes.
those?
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Moving on to County Treasurer's Report. Miss Wanda's here. Miss Wanda?
Copy in their packet. So far, everything's holding good. One more month. Year. Hopefully nothing goes haywire.
There we go.
40 days, good bless.
Sound great.
Y'all got any questions?
No questions. Moving on. County and Circuit Clerk's Report. Miss Elisa's here. Anyone has any questions for her? Seeing there's not any, we'll move right along. Old unfinished business. Don't see none of that right at this time. New business. Employee handbook changes. Justice Price, would you like to address that, please, sir?
Yes,
Okay.
I think we changed it 4 or 5 years ago. If not, 4 years ago. We went to a 5-day without a doctor's note. We followed Independence County in that. The next month, they changed theirs back to 3 because they was abused. And I recommend we go back to 3 without a doctor's note. I'm not sure on the days that we're able to carry over.
I didn't change that. I didn't know what you wanted to change it
36.
to. 30 days, 240 hours.
30 days.
240 hours.
I would like to see it, go to 36 or 48 because somebody gets hurt at home. You've got some that's not gonna have that many days. It don't make no difference. They're gonna abuse them. But you're gonna have some that don't abuse their time and they're gonna have the days. That's one of the things that I would like to see. Their days, their sick days, they get them per month, not all the first month.
Yeah, we're changing that too, because it didn't show that they had to be approved. It showed that when they hired in, they had 12 sick days, but now we're changing it to read that it must accrue 1 day per month. I don't know if that got changed when I changed the other and I missed it, or I went back in the old and I didn't see it in there either. But we can't have somebody walk in off the street and work here a week and then have 12 sick days and then quit, So we have it where they earn 1 a month, up to a total of 12 days. Is how it's gonna read now.
I'd like to see those things change. That's my wish.
Go ahead, Miss Yorio.
I was just, asking around and stuff like that, and it's not being abused here, and I think it hurts people that would never abuse it but need it. Say like Wanda, Denise, all these people, it's not being abused here. I mean, we don't have in and out employees. We have really good employees and I mean, if they do abuse it, they wouldn't be here long.
Yeah, well, the elected officials is under a different code than our employees anyway.
No, yeah, well, but still, I just don't think that it's being abused.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying not everybody abuses it, but it's just like any place you work. You're gonna have one or two that's gonna abuse it. And I mean, it's just that simple. We've got some that 5 or 6 years and they go from month to month waiting on that day.
Well, we know
I
what
don't know if
Independence
that
County
ever happened, Bart.
I'm just telling you, that down there, it happens.
Down where?
In Gus County, that happens. But what I'm
That's
saying
just like
is, we
we
need
did
to
it
go
like we
back to
did
the
up in
3 days
Wisconsin.
without the doctor's note, as far as I'm concerned. And I'd like to see us carry 36 days, or 48 days, I don't care. I mean, cause if somebody gets hurt, they're gonna need it. If they've got it, they can use it.
Do we know what the other counties other than Independence do as far as the doctor's note part?
We didn't research that, did we?
I didn't know research that.
No.
Well, I do know that they changed theirs to 5, we changed ours to 5, the very next month, theirs went back to 3. The very next month.
Right.
And ours stayed on 5.
Well, right now, it don't seem like, I guess we need to vote on it. I guess would
Well,
be the,
I don't have the ordinance or anything, they just need to.
Hash it out?
And then we'll type it up, and, because there's a
Okay.
couple other things that we've changed in here too.
okay.
So, I mean, if you guys wanna decide on that.
Could we do some research on what the counties surrounding us do and then bring that to the table next month?
Okay.
Do a comparison to all these counties and then do a vote next month?
I'd just soon do what's working for us. Let the other counties look to us to see what we're doing.
Well, yeah, I don't disagree with that, but I'd like to have the information there just to make a informed decision.
And we have a generic from AAC too, that to go by, you know, they've sent one from Little Rock, it's a generic, and I'm not for sure what that says either, but I can look at that too.
Well, that just give us
I'm
all-
kinda like, you know, I think we need to look around. I mean, I'm just throwing this out there. That's my personal opinion, and that's
Okay, let's
research it.
let's do that. Bring it to, also, I've had some inquiries for folks that gets 25 years or more, thinking they deserve 5 weeks. What would be wrong with that?
If they've been
Y'all
here
wanna put that?
25 years, I'm good with it.
Okay, we'll put that on the table then, and we'll do some research
I
on
mean,
that.
that's
All right?
everybody's opinion, but
Okay.
a man gives you 25 years, he's worth something.
Yep, worth something. Mr. Martin?
I was, since you're talking about employees and sick days, it would be nice to have something in there in case somebody gets hurt in a car accident or something, that the other employees can give or donate their sick days to that employee when they know it's something of that nature. So it'd be nice to have something in the wording that allows that to happen, instead of having to hash it out at the time.
What do you think, Justices? Would that be something you'd be willing to look into as well?
I think that's.
I think it's a good deal.
Thank you.
We're allowed to up to 10 days.
Okay.
We can give 10 days.
A lot of
And
places.
then it has to go back to the quorum court
Okay.
before anymore.
All right, well, we'll look into that as well and bring that at the next meeting then.
Is that though something that you have to have so many days in your bank before you can give?
If you use all of your time, you're hurt, you use all your time, your vacation, everything, the employees can give.
Well,
Now,
no, what I'm saying is, if you're saying, they can donate their days, do they have to have so many days in their bank before they can donate? Are you gonna let somebody just donate all they have?
I think the way we've done it in the past is each one of us. We've not let one person do it, like I'll give 2 days and another guy give 2 days till we got our 10 days.
I just know that teachers, you have to have 30 days before you can give.
Yes.
Other state agencies have that. I don't know if it's 30 days or not.
Well, we could look in
I
and,
think it's something, you know, we might want to
yeah,
look at.
look at, seeing what, set
Yeah, you got
a
some
date.
guy, it don't make no difference, he got 5 days, he'll give them to you.
Right, okay, but,
You know,
Right.
I'm saying we got people like that.
Are we gonna look into this later?
yes, sir, it'll be next month.
Well, I've got a
Yep.
question, but I'll do it later then.
Okay, all right, sounds good. All right, well, we'll do some more research and get back to that next month.
Throw it out now.
That'll be old and unfinished business.
A couple more
let's move on.
Oh, okay, a couple more things here.
In the grievance section, it says that they have to turn in their grievance by 4:30, well, the courthouse closes at 4. So I've made a revision to reflect the time that we closed at 4 o'clock. Because we had somebody that was gonna file a grievance and stuff a couple of years ago, and they really got into a pickle with the time frame, that push come to shove. And then on vacations, there's a gray area here. Over 1 year, but less than 2, you get 5 days. 2 years through 5 years, you get 10 days. But the problem is we go by January 1st after the first year. So they think that come January 1st of next year, even though they haven't been here for 2 years, they're eligible for 2 full weeks vacation. And we feel that they have to be here
On their anniversary.
on their anniversary date. Then after the 2-year anniversary date, we'll do it as of January 1st. But we had one gentleman leave, and he had taken his week's vacation. Well, then it was January again, and it wasn't his 2-year anniversary, and he got 2 more weeks vacation. So he got 3 weeks of vacation and hadn't even worked here 2 years. And he got paid for it all. And so I've reworded that in here also to reflect that, you know, you have to wait till your anniversary date.
Is it 1 year, 5 days, 2 year, 10 days, 5 years, you go
5 through 10, you go to 15.
Right. Yes, sir.
And then 10 and over, you go to 20. And now you guys are saying 25 and over, maybe go to another week, right?
That's my part.
Okay.
But like I said, that's something we need to look at.
Okay, and then I changed it to hours instead of days, because like the road.
Courthouse hours is different than the road department
Right,
hours in the
that's why we have
summertime.
to
You're
go
working
off, that's why we
4
have
tens in
to
the
go,
summertime
you
and
know.
5 eights in the winter.
Correct, so we changed it to hours instead of days.
Okay.
I think
That's it?
that's all I have.
Okay, all right. Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. All right, is Mr. Joey Whited here? Fair Board. I didn't think I seen him. We're gonna skip on past that, and we're gonna go right to the Spring River Ambulance Board. Who'll be speaking for the ambulance board?
Before we move on to that,
Oh.
are we gonna vote on these changes that Denise has made, or?
No, we're postponing that till next month, and we're gonna redo that, okay?
Okay.
Thank you, sir. All right, Mr. Beller.
Hi, y'all. My name is John Beller. I know several of you. I'm here representing the Spring River Paramedic Ambulance Service. We've got several board members here, and I want to ask them to stand up, and I'm going to put y'all on the spot. I'd like them all to stand up and introduce themselves, if that's all right.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You bet.
I'm George Jackson. I'm the medical director for the Spring River Ambulance Service.
Cal Denst. Clint McBride.
Don Sharp.
Annetta Moffett?
Sheila Morgan. I'm Janine Ish, I'm the Business Operations Director for the Ambulance Service.
Sorry, I'm over here now. We've got a little bit of a presentation. Part of this, we've got some graphs we're going to show you. A lot of you probably know the Spring River Paramedic Ambulance Service is a nonprofit company. We are an entirely volunteer board. The ambulance service started in 1974 in Cherokee Village as a volunteer service. It has, been through several iterations and grown a little bit, and now we provide the emergency ambulance, 911, and all the ambulance transport service in Sharp County. Ultimately, we provide an essential service, and I'm just telling you, we need your help. We provide an essential service. We provide it, if I may say, very well. Not because of our board, but because of our crews who do they are professional, they work hard, they take their jobs seriously, they are knowledgeable and experienced, and we're lucky to have them, right, Mark?
Absolutely.
And super proud of them. We provide an essential service, and we do it pretty well, but we've got lots of challenges in a normal environment. COVID has really thrown us for a loop. in a manner of speaking. It has been a very challenging environment, and our outlook at this point is a little bit uncertain. And so I want to go through those elements, what it means to provide an essential service like this in Sharp County, what our challenges are in a normal environment, what COVID has particularly done to the service, and why our outlook right now is a little bit, or why the outlook for our business model is a little bit uncertain. So if you'll bear with me here, we've got a little bit of a PowerPoint presentation that, if I can make this work right. All right, what this is, our John and Toby Dobbins helped us take care of this. Toby does our bookkeeping. It's a statistical analysis that, if I'm being completely honest, is a little bit above my head when it comes to the ability to describe the methods here. But one of the conditions involved in this little study that they've conducted is what happens to the threat level and our ability to handle it in Sharp County if we are operating out of 3 bases, which is 3 advanced life support ambulances, or out of 4, which is what we do. So we right now have 4 ambulance bases. We operate 4 advanced life support ambulances out of those bases 24 hours a day. And the statistical analysis looks at whether or not 4 is the number we need or not. And so you can see they've used the terminology in this report with pines and without pines. We just use that as a proxy for one of our bases. We call the Cherokee Village base the Pines base. So they've analyzed threat levels in 4 different categories: natural, technological, human, and hazardous materials threats. What those look like in a situation with the Pines base, in a situation without the Pines base, and what a worst case scenario is. And they've done some modeling and looked at some specific incidents, the hazmat incident in Hardy about 20 years ago, the chemical exposure that Sheriff Towns experienced, and then there's a printed report that I believe we're going to provide y'all, but I don't have printouts of it. Do we?
No, I don't have it right here with me, but I'm going to get it to all of them.
Okay. All right. So this looks at our ability to respond, or our ALS response capacity by county. So we've got Sharp County, Independence County, Randolph County, Stone County, Izard County, Fulton County, and Lawrence County on this graph. The first bar there is population. We are the 3rd most populous county in this analyzed area. We have the 2nd largest square mileage coverage area of these counties being analyzed. We have, it's a little bit tough to see this, mostly because Sharp County doesn't have a bar there. We have 0 hospital beds available in the county, and that impacts what kind of emergency service we're able to provide. And then we do have 4 advanced life support ambulances in service in the county. Everybody else, Independence County provides 3, and the other counties around us are using 2 ALS trucks. So some notes on that again. We've got the 2nd largest coverage area in the region and the 3rd largest population. We have a significantly higher than average vulnerable population by statistics. Almost 24% of our citizens are 65 or older. Over 25% of our citizens are between 45 and 64. National averages for those groups are about 16.5, and so we have a higher than average population vulnerability. We also have a pretty, especially when you look at those counties' geography, specifically their shapes. We have the 2nd largest coverage area, but it is a very odd shape relative to most of the other counties, which are able to operate on a little bit of a spoke and wheel model. And ours we can't do that because we kind of exist in a much more north-south orientation. What all that means is the response times are really important for advanced life support. Our average response time is 13.72 minutes. And if we were to go down a base, that would be significantly reduced. It's really hard to model what that would be, but because of our unique geography, especially in the region, it would be especially impacted if we went down to 3 trucks. And the counties surrounding us, again, because of the shape, would not be able to help us in quite the same way that we're actually able to help other counties from time to time. And so the idea of mutual aid is not as significant for Sharp County. So there's statistical models. Again, I wish I could explain this better, but it's really hard. What it shows is that from a population and square mileage area, we ought to have about 4 ALS trucks in the county, which is exactly what we provide. When you look at other services, other counties, they are not being provided that level of service. Independence County is able to cover theirs, but Sharp County is not. Ultimately, what we're looking at in this report is that we are meeting the service need in Sharp County. We are doing what we are supposed to do, what we should do from a service level perspective in Sharp County. And thanks to the work that our crews do, I think we do that very well. In a pre-COVID environment, right, in the before time, we provide that service at basically break even. We do what a nonprofit corporation should do. We put our money into our service, okay? A few years ago, Bart, when did we go to 4 trucks?
2017. Yeah.
2017. When Bart came on and started running the service several years ago, he got a lot of things straightened up, took care of a lot of business for us, and actually got the service pointed in a much better direction. Bart really needs to be commended for the job that he does being able to service. I see a bunch of heads nodding in the back of the room. He really does a good job. Bart got us shaped up a little bit, and we were only operating with 3 trucks in the county, and he recognized that it just wasn't good enough. And so we went to 4 trucks, and what going to 4 trucks did in our business model was basically put us at break even. We didn't have a whole lot of room in our budget after providing the service. I want to say a word real quick about the South Sharp County Ambulance District and the subsidy that we declined starting a few years ago. We did not decline that because we were doing so well we didn't need the money. We declined it because it wasn't large enough. There are the ways that reimbursement, specifically from Medicare, works, is that we haven't gotten an increase in the reimbursement rate since the Balanced Budget Act in 1996. Meanwhile, the costs of providing the service have significantly increased over that 25-year period. We were having to write off an amount of our charges that was close to being in excess of the amount of subsidy that we were receiving, and it's a Medicare rule that we just couldn't break, and so we couldn't receive that money anymore, even though we needed that, $40,000 or $50,000. It really helped. We couldn't take it anymore. So one of the things that operating with almost no margin means is that it makes extra things kind of tough. So just a little bit of context for you. A new ambulance, we were able to purchase one entirely with borrowed money, and we'll get to that in just a second. We bought one at the end of the year, first of the year. Cost about $125,000, and we actually got a really good deal on it because we had some pricing that was a year old. We had planned to buy one in the previous year, didn't feel like we could at the time. They held it for us for a little while, and we were able to buy one. But that's an ambulance costs about $125,000, $130,000 at least in terms of that pricing. We need new cardiac monitors. And so when you go and look at cardiac monitors, we are right now piecing ours together a little bit. We're kind of scrapping old ones for parts because ours are a little bit out of service now. We have a staff that is really able to do that well. But we need new cardiac monitors. Bart has a quote for cardiac monitors sitting on his desk. 4 new cardiac monitors that are refurbs, not brand new. 4 cardiac monitors, about $130,000.
We're all 4.
Huh?
We're all 4. Or each.
Yes, no, all 4 together, yeah. Power load systems. We started trying to get these installed in our ambulances a few years ago. They are a big back saver for our crews, lifesaver for our patients. They cost about $40,000-$50,000 to install in an ambulance, and so does the newest one have it on there?
Yes,
Does?
came from the factory.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So when it comes to making equipment upgrades like that, we really had to, we were pinching pennies and having to prioritize what years we could make which upgrades. We were also, in the before time, dealing with an issue created by rising pay scales. So nobody at all begrudges the increase in the minimum wage, but it hit us in a pretty difficult way because because of our scheduling. EMTs don't make the minimum wage, they make time and a half most of the time. But because we had to increase our pay scale to comply with the minimum wage rules, we got hit time and a half by the increase. And we got no increase in reimbursement because of it. I mean, it's just a flat outflow on our financial statement. So the other thing that operating at basically break even does is mean when a pandemic shows up, you don't have a lot of room to work with. And so I want to talk really, I'll try to be brief, but it's a saga. What COVID has done. This has obviously been an unprecedented health emergency. It required a significant response from the ambulance service. That increased readiness comes at a cost, and we have experienced both tangible and intangible costs in responding to the pandemic. So just for instance, one of the things we did, Cal may be able to speak to this a little bit better than I can, but for many months in 2020, we were the sole emergency response in the county, right? Did we stop dispatching?
We had a modified response where the ambulance service only responded, the fire departments didn't go and assist until we got better guidance on how we needed to.
On what kind of emergency it was, and a lot of times it was the ambulance service providing, say, PPE or guidance and direction to other first responders in those situations. So we had tangible costs in the form of additional PPE, additional supplies use, and increasing supplies costs. I mean, I think we all remember not just what has happened to materials costs in the last year and a half, but what it meant to try and buy masks and gloves and all of the PPE that we needed to buy in April and May of last year. The costs were high. It was actually hard. We felt like we were lucky when we could get a batch of them. So we had these very tangible costs that come, tangible cost increases. There's also some budget intangible costs because what that does to our crews, the kind of energy suck that being the only ones to respond immediately, going into a house and not knowing what they're walking into, being in a situation that is it's just it's already a difficult environment to provide care in. But add that layer of uncertainty and risk is a significant thing, and 2020 was incredibly hard on our crews. All during that time, we saw a reduction. So we've got increasing expenses. We saw a reduction in the billable runs. So this is the kind of thing you don't really like to talk about, but when people stopped moving around as much, there was less demand for emergency services. So there weren't quite as many, accident calls, the sort of normal ambulance business that we see. But there was an elevated level of care calls. And one of the treatment protocols that went into place, the state health department, right?
It was national.
It was a national mandate. Treat in place. So we had a lot of ambulance service calls where we would show up, treat a patient, and not be able to transport them. Well, we know how to provide the care when we get there. What we don't know how to do is bill for that care if we don't drive them somewhere. And I'm saying that a little bit flippantly, but seriously, we provided a lot of service in 2020 and early 2021 that we were not able to bill for. And so we went from, the impact of that is we went from a pre-COVID average of about 325 billable runs per month, okay? That's a more or less an average for us. Since March of 2020, we have done 303 average monthly runs. It's a measurable reduction in the amount of services that we've been able to bill for. And so that is coming at a time when our expense to provide the service has actually increased. That's really hard math, even for a nonprofit organization. I want to tell you about some additional constraints. So the reason we have this analysis here that talks about a base closure is that we talked at length about whether or not we needed to reduce service, whether we needed to reduce our staffing levels to the point where we could, more in line with what kind of money we were bringing in. And we determined it just wasn't an option. It's just not an option. First, there is the level of care standard that we have established and that we need to be providing, but also the idea that we would be reducing our ability to provide service in a pandemic where the needs and potential situations are just completely unknown. The idea that we would be reducing our ability to provide that services to citizens in the county just seemed absurd to us. And so it was almost impossible to countenance the idea that we would shut a base down or reduce our level of service. But that's, in any normal situation, when you have rising costs and reduced income, you have to do something to change your operating cost, and that's about the only thing available to us. One of the great programs that the federal government instituted and actually worked in this, I think a lot of you are familiar with the Paycheck Protection Program, the PPP. Spring River Paramedic Ambulance Service was not eligible for PPP. This is a little mini saga in and of itself, and I'll tell you our sob story here. Spring River Paramedic Ambulance Service is a 501c4 organization. 501c4s are recognized by the IRS as nonprofit corporations that have some kind of political activity as a component. The reason we are a C4 is that we originally existed under the umbrella of the Cherokee Village Suburban Improvement District. And because of that involvement, they thought we were more appropriately coded as a C4. Now I'm talking about ancient history. We also had a fundraising arm, a foundation that was a 501c3. When the service came out of the umbrella of the SID, they probably should have updated the IRS registration at the time. But they already had the foundation established, everything worked the way it needed to work, and there was really not a big difference between being a C4 and a C3. And so we just, the service never did anything about it. We looked into it 4, 5, 6 years ago. It was going to cost us $15,000-ish to convert the IRS filing, and we thought, we're a nonprofit service, we provide our service at break even. This seems like a silly thing to spend that much money on. The structure works as it is. We just need to leave it alone. PPP was, you were eligible for PPP if you were a 501c3 corporation according to the IRS. You were not eligible if you were a 501c4, and there was basically nothing we can do about it. We thought about stomping up and down. We thought about calling Crawford or Bozeman or somebody to get somebody. This is not. We should be able to be eligible for this. This is exactly what this program is for. But there was nothing we can do. They were not going to make C4s eligible, and they're not going to make an exception for the Sharp County Paramedic Ambulance Service. The amount of money that we missed out on is going to make you ill. We would have been eligible in 2 different rounds for PPP loan funds, which would have been forgiven because of the way we operate. $850,000. It boggles the mind that that's what our eligibility would have been had it not been for this technicality. We were able to get some help. We got $68,000 from the state through the CARES Act funding. And our staff was able to find about $28,000 in grants. So we were able to come up with almost $100,000 in help in 2020. But that's all it was help. We had to operate on borrowed funds. So we were in the middle of a project at a base that we were doing to save money. We had a space provided. We were renovating the space. So we ended up having to borrow that money. We ended up borrowing 100% to buy the new ambulance. And we had to borrow a couple of times to make sure we met payroll. And we worked with NBC. They've been an incredible partner. They could not get us eligible for the PPP program, which I'm going to still think we should grind more about. FNBC has been a good partner for the ambulance service. So that's what COVID has done to us, right? It has really hurt our operation, our financial operation. And we are coming into this kind of post-pandemic situation with what looks to be a lot of volatility. First of all, we don't know what's going to happen with COVID. I mean, everybody who has said they know what's going to happen next with this thing has been proven wrong. Everybody has been wrong about the direction it's going. There is some demand unpredictability, so I want to tell you a little bit about what demand has done since May. So the bulk of our reduced demand kind of ended in May. Since May, this is really crazy. We did more runs in the month of June than we have done in any other month I mean, I've been on the board almost 10 years. Bart has been the director for 7 or 8, and was on the board longer than that. Nobody can remember a month we did more than we did in June. But we have had 2 months where demand was about at the pre-COVID average, somewhere around 320, 325, and we've had a couple of months where demand was as low as it ever was during 2020. And so we've got some demand volatility right now that just causes our balance sheet and our financial situation to be a little bit shaky. Sharp County is experiencing some population growth, so that suggests there is going to be increased demand over the next couple of years, but we don't know that. I think you all probably are aware of issues in the labor market that there's a national shortage of EMTs and paramedics, and so we're competing in a national labor pool where a lot of folks are able to go to other places and name their price. Shortage of those kind of workers anyway, and so the wage pressure is there and coming. And we've all filled our gas tanks up lately. We operate on fuel, right? We provide our service with fuel. And so what gas prices have done lately, what the cost overall of materials and supplies has been, we've got some unpredictability, some volatility on the horizon. And so ultimately, we're coming, if I wore a hat, I would have it in my hand. We're coming to ask you for some help. We've pegged a number that we think makes some sense, and so I just want to offer that. $600,000 would really change the dynamic for us, at least for a period of time. It's not what we missed out on PPP. It is about the cost of operating an extra base for 18 months. But what an amount like that would do is stabilize our financial situation and give us some time to figure out what comes next without having immediate financial pressure. And I think going back to that analysis, we are providing the care that the county needs. To be able to continue to do that for a period of time here without having financial pressure, and make sure that we figure out how to make our business model work for whatever post-COVID is. 600 would go a long way. Obviously, I know that's a big number. That's the number we've come up with that we think would really help us. So I'm willing to answer any questions. I imagine Bart is a much better question answer, Dr. Jackson, and Janine for sure. But if you've got any questions, we're happy to entertain them. We really appreciate you letting us present and tell you about this. Again, one more time, for the record, our crews provide an incredible service to this county. They do good work, they work hard, and this is a financial issue. This is not a service provision issue. We just need some help to make sure that our folks can keep doing their jobs well. Anyway, if anybody's got any questions, I'm happy to.
Bart, have you determined whether that grant money can be used for this?
Yes, it can be.
Can be.
That's my interpretation. Yes, it can.
And we've got how much of it?
We've got almost 1.7 million, and we've got another 1.7 going to come after the first of the year. And we've spent
Close to
just under 400,000.
Spent close to 400.
That was doing the premium pay and the matching that we have to do for Social Security and retirement on all the premium pay. It's just under 4.
Any other questions? Mr. Martin?
At one time, the ambulance service, and they might still be doing this, but I'm not up to speed on it. They used to do like the air service did. They used to charge a flat fee and come out to the house and do everything for a flat fee. With everything being, I mean, you're not the only one experiencing this. Everybody is experiencing this. Is it possible that if you had a steady income off of something like that, that could be, my parents would definitely join up for something like that. There's a lot of people that have a fixed income or an income, but if they knew what it would be, they would probably gladly give you so much a month rather than wait for that $1,000 or $1,200 bill. I'm assuming it's.
What happened, it kind of falls under the same thing as that South County stimulus money that we got. You cannot write off more than you take in. So it used to be a membership and it was $80 per family. But with the new Medicare Advantage programs that are coming in and people are using, the copay amounts for an ambulance transport used to be anywhere from $85 to $145. Now, a big majority of our patients have the Medicare Advantage programs, and the Medicare Advantage copays for an ambulance every time a person takes an ambulance is anywhere from $250 to $375. So with the memberships, people aren't going to buy them if they're more than $100, and with the fact that we have a huge population of people on Medicare, we would be writing off more than we could take in, and we can't do that with Medicare.
But what you're telling me is there is a magic number that you could offer. I think is what you just told
We
me.
probably could, yes, but it would take some serious figuring, because you have to, with the fact that these Medicare Advantage copays vary from patient to patient, we'd have to really see what our population is with some of them and figure out the best.
But with everything being tight, the way it is, for a lot of these people, it might be nice to know the ambulance is gonna come get me, and I've got let's just say $300.
Right.
And that's the same thing what your copay would be, so maybe if that were offered to them, you might get a steady income and not have to worry about a lot of this fluctuation. Just a suggestion.
But are you saying a one-time $300?
No, that'd be something you'd have to do, just like the plane or the air ambulances.
It's
It
once a
would be
year.
something you'd have to do every year.
When I
Right.
took over at the ambulance service, I had 2 different billing experts come in and look at our books, look at our membership program and everything. They told us for a county this size, it really didn't matter what we charged, we would bankrupt ourselves if we did not stop our membership program.
Okay.
Because we do not have a big enough population.
What I seen on that, they would call that a hang deal, and they'd call the ambulance service. I seen that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a
Well,
bad
not only
deal.
that, but $300, that covered one-time charge. If you use the ambulance 10 times that year, the ambulance service is losing money.
I'm probably speaking out of turn, but I've been a first responder for probably 30 years, I don't know. But that is our first line of protection against this virus. If we could help them some, I think we need to, if we can get it through that money. Now, that's my opinion.
Wanda, do we have any more rounds of premium pay coming in our future?
Yeah,
We've got the,
next year's.
we did 2020 for the hours of 2020, and the ordinance says we'll do a 21 and hours for 21 and hours for 22.
Will it be as much?
We,
Same.
You coming in or paying out?
Paying out.
paying out, that's what he's talking
It was set up to be the same.
I mean,
It'll
when we
be,
talk-
it'll run roughly
Right.
about the same. I mean,
I've got a question though. So if the board decides that we wanna do this, would we have to run this through White River, or is it just something like we're talking about? Because I know there are gonna be other people coming to us for money that are also needy, like fire departments and things like that.
That's what Judge Brown and I are working on.
The fire department was gonna be a hard deal,
The,
wasn't it?
the best I recall, and I'm trying to keep my mouth shut on this for the most part.
Well, you need to do the most talking.
The best I recall from, and you were there, Lisa was there, the best I recall, fire departments cannot come and ask for money unless they lost revenue, like, say a fire department had an ambulance service, and they lost revenue during COVID. They could then come and ask for some of this money, but if they didn't lose revenue, they could not come and ask for funds. That's the best I understand.
I think if they're giving it to us right now, and we can help them,
Some of the better.
I mean, it's not cost, I mean, it is in a sense costing the taxpayers, but we're not having to go ask for a tax increase to be able to do this. They're giving it to us, and I feel like we can help them, let's help them.
And I feel like we should help them too.
I'm confused on, if you have a stream of revenue coming in, that's gonna bankrupt you? I mean, if you were charging,
You talking about the membership?
yes.
The population is so small. And just say, for instance, it's $100 and there's 1,000 people
Okay.
paying our membership. Well, if those 1,000 people do 10 ambulance runs a year, well, it costs our service the same amount,
Sure.
Right.
whether we haul them once or we haul them 10 times. So, what both experts told us, there's no way this can work. No more people than you cover.
Does that handcuff you in billing
Yeah,
somehow?
Janine can explain that better than I can.
If you have a membership, we're still able to bill
The insurance company.
the insurance company, but that's what we're saying. If those 1,000 people that have a membership are only paying $100 a year, that's $100,000. But say every one of those 1,000 people did a transport and had a $300 copay, and I had to write that off. That's $300,000. That way over
The
the
write-off
budget.
is more than the
right, yeah.
amount it brought in. Way more.
Oh, you got a
Look,
question
I got a
over here
lady
first.
here. Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Thank you. I may have misunderstood, but can you go back and refile for the $15,000 to switch to the C3 from the C4? You can't, that's off, no
No,
option
you
for
had to
that.
be a
We're able to
C3.
do it at the time.
If it did, it wouldn't work now.
Because
That's often paid.
Yeah, that money's going.
just
Would it
another
help you in the future
reminder
to do
about
that, Mark?
a meeting that we had here several months ago that you guys might want to remember in the future about ambulance service. When that eclipse comes through here, there's going to be tens of thousands of people. Tens of thousands. And believe me, there will be a lot.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Mr. Martin, did you get?
Well, I was just saying, with that scenario, you're assuming that everybody's gonna be overusing the ambulance, but the other thing is, just like insurance companies do, if you abuse it, you can be taken out of that scenario, and that can be written into the membership. Okay, you get 2 rides, that's all you get. After that, you're gonna have to pay the full amount, which at least would still bring you solid revenue, and you'd have a little bit of insurance. And there's gonna be a lot of people that actually don't get a ride at all.
But Medicare won't let you do that.
Medicare won't let you do it.
Medicare has very.
So your hands are tied basically by Medicare.
So what's the next step? What's the next step towards moving forward on this one?
How long will that $600,000?
I didn't mean to, go ahead.
Maybe a couple.
I think if we do this, we'll have to
That's,
realize you might not come back for 600,000 if we hadn't got it. I mean,
Well,
do you
and
understand?
it's gonna be auditable till 31.
Justice
I think,
Dent.
this is exactly what this rescue plan money was intended for.
Exactly.
And that's why I think we should do it.
If it fits within parameters of what the government says we can disperse it for, I don't wanna get into the ambulance's business. I know they've done everything they can do to keep things floating, but I think we ought to, vote and give it to them, because this is exactly what this rescue plan money was for, the front lines of.
Let me get with my research team before we make any hasty decisions on this, all right? And bring it back to you in December, is that
It hasn't been a
fair?
normal 2 years, you know?
Huh?
It hasn't been a normal 2 years.
No, sir, it's not,
And
it's not.
If it fits within their parameters for dispersing it, I think we should go.
Right. Well,
Could I
You
add
know.
something? Excuse me. I think one of the things that everybody here realizes, and how many times we've heard it here tonight, last year was such an unusual year. We also have a bunch of new things coming down the pike that we have never had to deal with before, one of which is a vaccine mandate for any entity which receives Medicare funding, and that does affect us. So all of our employees are going to be required to receive a COVID vaccine. We have already had, and I will be volunteering to talk to anybody who wants to hear about the vaccine. It's a good thing, get one. But we have already heard from several employees who have already told us they are going to refuse to get their vaccines. So if that's the case, they will not be able to work for us. We will then lose those employees and will be forced to go into the job market. As John was saying, there's a tremendous pressure in that job market now because the upward demand for paramedic EMT trained people is just dramatic, just going rapidly. So and I understand we want to get as much research as we can, we are going to be faced with that reality real quickly. That's like soon.
Next month, right?
And so if we really need some money now, and if y'all can see your way to do it, that is going to really, we're going to have to find potentially as many as 16 new employees. Wow, that's amazing.
Bart, you sure we can do this?
Well,
I'm pretty sure.
how long would it take, how long would it take you
I'm not
to do the
an
research that you
expert,
need?
but yes, I mean, everything.
I can have something by next month, next month's
Dr.
meeting,
Jackson,
all
I'm
right?
fully
You need a motion?
in favor of funding it. What I won't want to do is step into a trap that we have to pay it back if we violated some of the rules.
It can't happen tonight, though, because we've got procedures in place, don't we?
Yeah.
Yes.
We
Judge
can't give
Moore
it
is
to
gonna
you
do the
tonight.
research to see what we need to do.
I mean,
Because we'll have to have like a grant typed up
Yeah.
and the
So we will have to go
stipulations
through
and
White
how long
River
it can be
then.
reviewed and what it's gonna be used for, and I don't think you guys can just vote on it tonight saying, okay, it's gotta be black and white, there can't be any gray area.
I don't know that we'd have to go through White River. They've got a lady hired with AAC that has worked on the national level with things. I think she could give us a lot of, her name is Lindsay Holman.
Right, yes, sir.
That would be a great way to go.
I think the only problem with the money is making sure we can do it without getting in trouble.
Well,
I
we don't
think that's
need,
the
we don't,
issue.
yeah,
Well-
us as a county don't need.
No,
We
but
don't
I'm
know.
saying, no, what I'm saying is,
This-
and I think that's what Judge is gonna find out, so
Yeah,
we can get this
that
taken care
paperwork
of.
that we got
Well,
on this deal, if you read
this
it,
fits within the loose description of
Yes.
what infrastructure is, so.
And
So it probably would fly.
lest we not forget, the 450 or whatever that came from the first thing doesn't have the restrictions that the CARES Act, or the,
ARP.
yes.
The second batch.
the first round of stuff doesn't have the same restrictions as the second round. So that's some money we haven't tapped either. So,
No.
you know, that gives us some more options, is all.
I don't think
But
we're.
them other rounds, we gotta vote before we do it
You need a
anyway.
motion for that, or just?
Right?
Do I have to have a motion for him to
No,
look at it?
everybody's on the general census of that's what we're gonna do, is try to make sure all the i's are dotted and
And
t's
T's
are
crossed.
crossed.
That's
and
the
then
key
bring
right
it
there.
back
That's
before
one
the
do the
court
same
and
thing,
have it
like
ready
you
for
said,
next month.
vaccine deal. You know,
Is that fair enough?
Yeah.
Is that fair enough with you?
Yes, sir. Thank
Okay.
you all very much.
The
Thank
next
y'all.
meeting is what, three weeks from tonight?
December 13th?
Am I right? 3 weeks from tonight? The second Monday.
All right.
What's that
All
to
right.
do with 3 weeks from tonight? Just like.
All right. If we're done with that, we'll move on to air filtration system. Looked into that and done some research, and as you'll see your brochure there, the I-Wave. If I have no objections from the court, we will try to solicit bids for that and try to get that established. If that's not suitable to the court, then I will let you have this file and look through it and see what else you would like to do otherwise.
Well, have we decided we're gonna do this?
Well, that's what I'm asking
I
now.
don't remember us deciding we're gonna do
I
this.
thought we was gonna find out how much it was gonna cost.
Yeah, some bids or something.
Yeah.
Well-
Before we decide anything.
Right, and that's what I'm gonna do.
But we still have to get some bids.
That's what I'm gonna do, is send this out for bids to see if that's in agreement with
Is
everyone.
this I-Wave thing what they presented to us last month or month before?
No, no, this is something that the folks, a lot of people in the area are using and being installed.
Is this the one where they hook it up to the units?
Yes, yes, sir.
I'm not so.
I'd like to ask a question
Yes, sir.
to the doctor. When these are hooked up and they're in the system, they got any way of checking them to see if they would work?
Yeah.
Is this?
I mean, if they've been put in the school system and kids still getting sick, that's my question is whether they're actually 100% work or not.
You're never gonna have 100%.
Well, 90, 80.
Yeah. Is this,
Gives us statistics in here.
is this the one they're using in the schools?
Yes.
It just gives you an early warning, it just gives you a group of people and whom you have to be more observant, more careful. It doesn't mean that person has a diagnosis or does not. It just gives you that group that is of concern, that's all it is.
You got one in yours?
No.
Okay.
But does that sound all right if we take bids on this? Okay, all right.
Are you taking bids from
That's what
anybody
I'm
else?
saying, Judge, as long.
Yeah,
As long as they understand we may not do it.
right, yes, oh, yeah, it's just,
As long as
it's
we're
just
taking
bids on it.
From other people, that's great.
You be like,
Won't be my second.
I mean, I ain't talking to
this is the one that-
All right,
No, we don't.
okay. We got, on that, we're ready to move on to resolutions and ordinances.
On a limited basis. If I call
All right, Justice Schultz, you feel like reading tonight? All right,
Ain't done much talking
Have you
tonight.
crossed it down?
Well, this first one, there's not a whole lot to it. You want me to read ordinance number 9?
yes, sir.
Sharp County Ordinance Number 2021-9. Be it ordained by the Quorum Court of Sharp County, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to establish special revenue fund to be named Sharp County Road Truck Fund 2012, Sharp County AEDC Child Care Grant 4907, Sharp County AEDC Senior Citizen Grant 4906. Article 1, affirmation. It comes before this court that there is a need to establish a special revenue fund on the books of the county to track the revenues and expenditures for the above-mentioned funds. This court recognizes and affirms the need for such funds to properly account for the control all such revenues received and expenditures made in compliance with the applicable laws. Article 2, establishment of the fund. There is hereby created on the books of Sharp County Treasurer and the books of the Sharp County Clerk Special Revenue Fund to be known as Sharp County Road Truck Fund number 2012, Sharp County AEDC Child Grant number 4907, and Sharp County Senior Citizens Grant number 4906. Article 3, operation of fund. The road. The road truck fund is to be, excuse me, to be used for the replacement / purchase of future county road dump trucks. The AEDC Child Care Grant is to be used with the supervision of White River Planning and Development District for construction and administrative fees, and the AEDC Senior Citizens Grant is also to be used with the supervision of White River Planning and Development District for the purchase of equipment and administrative fees. These funds are subject to the county budgeting, appropriation, and expenditure regulations of Arkansas Code annotated Title 14. Make a motion, we adopt these.
Okay. Got a second? Justice Barnes? Ready to vote? Okay.
Rick?
Yes. Yes.
Barnes?
Yes.
Vance?
Yes.
Diorio?
Yes.
Estes?
Yes.
Hastings?
Yes.
Murphy?
Yeah.
Pickett?
Yeah.
Paul?
Yes.
Schultz?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Any questions on that? If not, we'll move on to the Budget Ordinance 2021-10. Did we get prepared for that? Somebody to read that, Miss Elisa? Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Just a highlight of it.
Okay. Appropriation ordinance number 2021-10, being enacted by the Quorum Court of Sharp County, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled, an ordinance to establish the annual operation budget and authorize salaries and wages for officials and employees for the calendar year 2022. Section 1, annual budget adopted by reference. The annual budget for calendar year 2022, identified as 2022 annual budget Sharp County, is hereby adopted. A copy of said budget shall be filed in the office of the county clerk and shall be available for inspection and copying by any person during normal business hours. Section 3, authorization of salaries and wages. The number of officials and employees and salaries and wages pertaining thereunto for the calendar year 2022 as set forth in the attached budget is hereby adopted. Maximum appropriated amounts. General fund, total anticipated general revenue, $3,331,917. Total general budgets, $3,328,695. Severability. If any provision of this ordinance or the application thereof to any persons or circumstances is held invalid, such invalidity shall not affect other provisions or applications of the ordinance which can be given effect without the invalid provisions or applications, and to this end, the provision of this ordinance are declared severable. Make a motion to accept.
Second.
Okay, got any questions or anything on this before we vote?
Well, there's that issue, that $1,000.
Is there still an issue about that $1,000?
Which $1,000 we're talking about?
The certificate pay.
The certificate.
Oh, I thought we already said that.
Well, it's kind of misunderstood, is it?
It is added into next year though, right?
I understood it, I understood it to be a raise for her, on her salary.
Yeah.
I think some were
That's what I
saying
understood
that
as
they
well.
thought it was just a one-time bonus.
No, it's a
Well,
raise.
it needs to be a raise on her salary.
That's what I thought we voted on.
Yeah, that's
So,
what it is.
I wanted to make sure.
Yeah,
that
yeah, it's on, it would be on anybody's salary, provided the criteria is met.
Yeah.
Well, that's the issue. I got it in the budget packet on one salary, after the budget packet was typed and mailed, there's another certificate that has come up with Amy. Hers is not in the packet.
Which
So,
office is she at?
she's the juvenile
Judge
officer.
Weeks.
Okay,
Judge
well,
Weeks.
But is Amy's the same setup as Tanya's is? Because you see the way that was kind of left? It's different. I mean, you get your training, some people can get training in just a couple of weeks, but what Tanya did was over a period of 2.5 years. And that's the way this started out.
well, what we did, if I remember correctly, we set up, it's up to each elected official. They have to bring the criteria to the Quorum Court.
Okay.
We have to approve it. Okay, this person meets said criteria for said office. They would then get the raise when they get the certification.
Well, I think-
Is that not the way we did it?
I think
Yes.
the one-time mistake was, we said one time.
We did.
That's where she goes to school again, and she brings those certificates, she don't get it.
No.
They don't.
No.
That's
she's
where
met-
the
she's met her.
That's where the one time was, the
Yeah.
mistake.
Well, once certified, always certified.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not
But I thought Amy was already over her pay scale, so you decided to do it one time for her with her certification.
I thought that's what we done.
What about the question about,
Okay,
the
thank you.
VA? I never heard what that was.
That's in there. It's
Let's
It's-
stay with
let's
this.
finish
before we
this
hit
one.
it, so.
Yeah.
Let's finish this one.
It's on here, he took it, he took the deal.
He took the,
Yeah, it's right there.
he took the $500 raise, I believe is what it said.
I will
He
say
gave a
this,
choice.
So
So our question is what we're gonna do with Amy, is that right?
Well, I guess, I mean, the budget you got had, that I sent, that was mailed out to you, has Tanya's $1,000 in her salary for next year for the certificate pay.
Right.
Amy's is not, and she brought me a certificate. I had put Tanya's in there, the packet got done and mailed out, and then I have Amy's stuff, who did not get in the packet, and if y'all don't include it, then she won't be in the packet, she won't get $1,000.
Did we not discuss this the other night? What the raise that she was gonna get?
Yeah.
And see,
And we agreed on that, and that was what she was getting, because he was asking for a horrendous amount.
I thought we settled it last month.
Yeah, we
Then
settled
you guys
it
brought
last
up the
month.
certification
But
thing, and she has
it
a
wasn't over the
certification.
certification,
Yeah,
it
we
was
did
over,
settle that.
it was over her pay raise.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we told Judge Weeks, if he wanted her on a different pay scale, he needed to come with us, to us with a different pay scale, like all the other offices did.
Right, and so that's all we covered. We didn't cover the fact that she was the
Certification.
certification, because that wasn't really brought up as far as her having a certification.
Right, but
That-
she's over and above our pay scale right now, so, and I'm not knocking Amy, because I think the world of her, but she's over and above our pay scale. So until he brings us a pay scale we can fix, I don't know how we can give her $1,000 raise.
It's $1,000 for the certificate.
For the certification.
We knew we was
On
gonna
your
get into
salary.
this.
And anybody can get that
Every time this starts,
See, the-
I just really feel we ought to look at this a little closer because it's not the same thing. This is not the same thing as what you did for Tanya. Tanya, 2.5 years versus, this looks like to me just a week. So, I mean, I think that's a little different.
How long does it take, you know?
Well, it's 40 hours.
is it 40-hour class?
And 20 hours a year for the
Continuing
county to get the
education.
15,000 reimbursement. They have to do 15 or 20 hours a year, which usually you end up doing 30 or 40.
Amy's certificate is, if she does not have that, I will not get $15,000 from the state of Arkansas.
Okay.
For reimbursement on her
Okay.
salary. That's
All right.
pretty well, that's how that's
Okay.
set up.
That's how that
They
works.
have to be certified or we do not
That sounds a
get
little better.
any- I mean,
And
I
we
mean,
don't get
we
anything
set it at-
if we don't have certified juvenile.
The other night, we set it at 30 hours or more for.
I think Michelle had a question.
Is that what we said?
Yeah,
Yep.
I remember that. Tommy presented.
Michelle's got
question there.
Not all offices have areas to get certified in either. Like the collector's office doesn't have anything. We can go and get some continuing ed hours and learn a few things. Now, I know when I worked with Kathy, you know, I went and got my personal property training with A, B, C, and D and all that. But we don't have some of these other offices.
And the judge's office doesn't have anything.
Well, and that's where, as the elected official, it would be up to them to come
Yeah.
up with a criteria, to come to us,
Kind of training.
something that's a match
Okay.
to those other offices. This is what I will require my people to meet this certification, and then they'd be entitled to this raise. If I
We
I'm
did
speaking
talk
for all
about
y'all.
that.
There's not one size fits all
No.
in this anymore.
No, no.
No, but we did talk about that the other night.
No, because there's places
Thought they
that
were
have to have
offices.
1,000 hours of
So
training.
Joey, what do you recommend we do with Amy?
How do we track?
Well, I recommend you give it to her, but based on the fact that if she doesn't get the training, she doesn't keep the job. And
No, we
that's
don't
what
get
I'm
to do that.
And the
understanding
county
that.
doesn't get reimbursed.
We don't get
County
reimbursed.
But, well, that's the same thing, but see, you took out last time,
going higher than everybody else if you do that.
you took out last
How you
time the
gonna figure that
state
out?
part
We're gonna-
of this,
That's
when
true.
you figured
That's true.
her salary.
Yep, that's right. We looked at just what our county pays, not
That's
what,
right,
not
yeah.
what the whole district pays. That's right. I forgot all that.
And she's still gonna be under what the average is for all 4 counties, right?
Yeah,
I
Yes.
think
Yeah.
about 5,000 under.
but above everything we do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I hear you, I
She
understand.
was gonna be about 8 under, and I
How are
think
we
she's
gonna
gonna be
track
about
it?
5 under.
How are we gonna track who's got it and who doesn't 5 years from now? Somebody changes different. How do we know if they've already got it?
Well, I mean,
Well,
we
it's a one-time
didn't do
thing,
well in the
$5,000.
past.
I don't know how we're gonna keep track. And
We
it's
don't
gonna
have
take
that
off.
certificate in there to file.
And
What's this you just passed out, Wanda?
You got a
Is that with another $1,000?
That is
and who, in that office. And then
Yes.
the officials change
That's
it.
up to
salary
that
with
elected
the
official.
1,000.
With-
One in your packet is with the salary that y'all set the other night
It don't make no difference.
with
It's
the
got to
extra
be anything.
1,500.
It's kinda like what we was talking about, this money that's gone in them, that,
Right. Be a vote, right?
So 31.
When this comes to comparing to other counties, if I'm not mistaken, Randolph County took their money, their federal money that we got, and immediately gave everybody big raises. Which will ultimately probably have to be paid back. So,
We don't do that.
Well,
We don't, 2 years.
Here's the problem with giving everybody big raises. When all this money's gone, we're gonna have to go to the taxpayer and ask for an increase? I don't want no part of that.
Well,
Me neither.
but this doesn't have anything to do with that.
no,
I call for a vote on it.
All right, we ready to vote on the budget? Are we ready for a vote?
Wait,
wait.
we gotta vote on
Wait, just-
adding that increase, don't you?
Just
Sorry, Tom.
We're on Tanya's end.
Why don't you just make the motion that, well, Bart's made the motion to either add this in or not add it in. However, amend your motion.
All right, let me get my mind around it here.
So we're gonna increase the juvenile officer salary
Well,
$1,000.
first,
for
we need to address, Tanya's is a raise, it's not a one-time deal. Everybody's clear on that.
That's in there.
Okay. Well, I mean,
You're saying, no, this is a raise too, though.
that's the way I look at it. I
It's
mean,
a raise, it ain't a one-time deal.
Yeah,
It's every
yeah,
year.
she gets a raise, so yeah, I amend my motion to accept or include Amy's raise in there as well as
I second.
with the reaffirmation, however you say that,
Reimbursement.
no, affirmation that all the elected officials have to come to us with criteria before we're doing any more of these.
Okay,
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay?
Ready to vote?
Barnes,
Yes.
Hess,
Yes.
Diorio,
Yes.
Estes.
Yes.
Hastings.
Yes.
Murphy,
Yeah.
Pickett,
Yeah.
Price.
So,
Yes,
okay, Bart, because of that, I need you to reread.
well, then I take it
Just
back.
the general fund, I think it changes the general fund.
This I passed out will only change the numbers on the general fund budgets.
Right, so I need you to read the
add 1,000 to the top line and the bottom.
There- It
As
adds
it's paid
more.
general revenues,
More than that.
Yeah, the social security,
and then
retirement,
the
all of that.
general budget again,
Okay,
total general.
general fund, total anticipated general revenues, $3,331,917.00 plus the $1,500 or whatever that number is we just.
That's already,
No,
That's already in
that's
there.
already in there.
Now read the total general budget.
Okay, total general budget, $3,328,695.00.
No. I'm
1,000
sorry,
more than
I'm
that.
sorry, Bart.
Plus $1,000.
No, if it were so
Bart,
easy.
the paper I just passed you out, just has that.
That's many papers in there.
Oh, yeah, the ones I just gave you. So, that-
This one?
okay, look on the very last page,
Okay,
Okay, this one.
That's it,
okay.
and let's see the total up there.
Total general budget,
Yes, sir.
this is the correct number?
Yes, sir.
That will be the correct number when Amy's budget is put into the packet.
Okay. Total general budget is $3,329,924.00.
Okay, are y'all ready to vote?
Are we ready to vote?
Barnes,
Yes.
Nix,
Yes.
Peoria,
Yes.
Estes,
Yes.
Hastings,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Pickett,
Yes.
Price,
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
All right. Anything else on that, Miss Elisa? That's it? Got that done? All right. Court got any announcements it wants to make? No announcements? Oh,
We got the 911
Yeah, you got several.
overtime compensation, they've all got that.
It's
sitting in front
somewhere,
of
you
them.
know.
I'll out.
That is not on the list.
Forgot that, didn't I? I was trying to skip that part.
Wasn't on the road department, was it?
That's right. I didn't have it wrote down.
I have it somewhere.
You know,
Okay.
last November, we did this same
Yeah,
thing,
that's it.
because they have such a hard time getting employees and shortage of employees, and we had to compensate the ones that have worked this year with their overtime funds. And this is what it is as of November 2021. My questioning then about it was they went back to December of 2020, and I don't know that you guys can go back to last year.
Yeah,
If in fact you can,
We
we have
closed
to
last
take,
year's out, didn't we?
yeah, you can't.
if in fact you, because when she brought this, I said, well, no, we'd have to take, I forget if it was 16 or 24 hours off of this figure. 24. 24
I
hours.
wouldn't think we could go back on 2020, could we?
No, I don't think we can.
No.
But see, that's the problem with doing it in November now, instead of waiting, them doing it in December after they've all
I
got it.
think it'll get us in trouble with audit.
Yeah,
So
so,
she doesn't have a problem with taking
but
2020 off.
it's gonna happen again, because we're doing it in November instead of December.
But we can't do it in December anyway because they have the meeting at the first of the month.
Yeah, but we could do it
You
in
still
January.
We could do it in January for the year of 21.
part of the
Yeah.
cleanup, wouldn't it?
You still can't pay
We
salary.
can do it up until March.
Yeah, you still can't,
Uh,
you still can't pay salaries.
So you can't go
Isn't this, and they got this in their budget,
till
Judge?
January 1
Yes.
through the end of the year.
The way I understood it, the way I
It's already in
understand
their
it.
budget.
That's the way I understand it, yeah.
It would still be paying in the previous year for last year's salary.
You can't do salary.
It's,
Well, that's, I mean, that.
is this in their budget already though, Ms. Wanda?
Yes, this money would be in their it's not listed in their budget as overtime pay,
See,
but it's listed in their budgets as full-time salaries and part-time salaries.
Because they have a handful.
It would come out of those line items that's already there.
but you could pay them that way.
Yes, that's how it would.
But you guys just have to reappropriate it inside that fund, the money's there.
That's my
in
question,
the-
but I didn't know how to ask.
But they're taking,
You can buy me a cup.
some of them's brought this number down by taking time off.
they earned the pay.
I mean,
They should prove it.
it'll be up to them if they want to pay her time off.
Yeah.
The comp time is sometimes what they.
Real tricky too, isn't it?
Their problem is they don't have enough employees for comp time.
Right.
Motion.
Could you guys do it tonight?
What do we need?
What do we need?
I don't know.
Do we need to vote on this?
Yes,
Ms. Wonder, what do we need?
yes, we need a vote in order to pay it.
I make a motion, we,
Is on this amount or a different amount?
It'll be different than that because
We can
go back.
they'll take 24 hours off of that. Because there's 24 hours on there that is 20 hours.
and there's no way we can fix that.
We wouldn't give the fair board money they lost because they didn't use it. It's the same principle.
Well, I'm
right?
talking about going forward. No way, I mean, I don't wanna just keep.
Well, they
that's
don't
what
know
I think
you
it's
don't
on.
know you don't know how much they're gonna have.
Yes, by December they'll be cheated out of their time.
Yeah, but I know what you're saying.
There's different hourly rates here. How much money?
We could do December.
Take off.
Well, it'd be 24 hours off the highest paid one there. She has
Based
some
on
from
last
December.
year's salary numbers.
Alright, you could carry over comp time and get by with it without the pay.
Mhm.
You
Into
could
the
carry
next
24 hours of comp time over without the pay, and have to use time off.
I'd have to look at our personnel policy. No.
Well, I mean,
Well,
if
if
that's
that's the case,
something, if that's something we need to change in our personnel policy, but it is legal. Because we can carry anything.
For comp time into
Dell State does.
They'll
Yes, they did.
I think Powell
What
works
they're-
does it. Yeah, he does it.
Daycare, I couldn't do
a
it.
lot more than that.
It's gonna work.
Okay, so I made a motion to accept this, and, we'll add an addendum to that too.
Okay.
Let's research what Todd said, and if there's a way these people can recoup the hours that they're losing going forward.
Can we
Not the right
discuss
word.
No, they may not get
Can
the
we
money.
discuss this when we discuss the other and they refigure it?
I don't know.
We've got to discuss this other
But they get
sometime,
time.
right? Next meeting?
Next meeting.
When you're already behind eight ball and you're paying, they're working extra hours, it's hard to get time off, it just snowballs.
And some of them are
Comp
gonna
time
lose vacation time
creates
because
more
they
comp
haven't
time
been able to
than
take the
today.
vacation and they can only carry over so much vacation.
We can't carry it
They'll
over.
catch up.
So,
We use-
Well, he's trying to get it where they get,
Yeah, if they
Paid
can
for
carry
it.
over, that'd be
we
fine.
can't pay for them the year before.
We can't carry on.
Look,
Yeah.
the end of my motion was, let's research, and if this, going forward, if they can carry over X amount of comp time to keep them from losing time like they did in the past, I say we do it.
Wanda, is there some way we could make a resolution next meeting for the December comp time, so then they can get caught up where they can start January 1 and go to January 1, and we can do this so they don't have to worry about this anymore?
if
Pay
we
them
have,
from
if you do it where
January
they
to
can have
January
carry
instead
over.
of December to November.
I think
Is there
the
some
way
way
we
we
do it, do it, have carryover, be able to carry so much time over and just, we got.
We usually don't pay comp time. They usually take time off. See, we don't usually give pay for comp time, but in this instance, they can't take the time because they don't have enough employees, so we're gonna
It's
pay
like
them.
their- Like their
And that-
vacation
but-
time. If
yeah.
they can't take it, we ain't got no choice but to pay them for it.
No, we don't.
No,
Okay.
you just lose it.
Yeah.
I ain't too sure.
Is the motion still on the floor?
Yeah, there's a motion on the
Yeah.
floor.
Are we ready to vote?
I second it.
That's what
I
I was-
second
I'll second it.
Consider losing, you know, like carry
I'll
over.
second it.
Sorry, we got it now.
We'll all
All
second.
right.
I missed it in all the, are y'all ready?
Ready to vote?
What are you voting on?
I don't have a clue.
Bart's motion.
We're voting to pay this back comp pay for 2021, and then we're going to.
20 hours off, is that correct?
And take the 20?
Is
Well,
that-
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, and then we're gonna research how much comp time can be carried over
Correct.
Yeah, to try to keep them from losing it in the
for the
future.
years to come.
See what we have to. Ready to vote?
Barnes?
Yes.
Dent?
Yes.
Diorio?
Yes.
Estes?
Yes.
Hastings.
Yes.
Murphy.
Yes.
Pickett.
Yeah.
Price.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Right, thank you very much, appreciate that. What else we got, Miss Denise, before I forget something else?
We got this.
Oh, yeah. Anything else? Not that you know of? All right, any announcements, ladies and gentlemen? Potluck. They got a note on potluck, so they're invited.
An announcement in the back.
Go ahead, Mr. Martin.
I might have a monkey wrench in the works with the ambulance service, since they are not technically part of the county, correct? Ambulance service is not under the county umbrella.
Right.
In municipal law, to the best of my knowledge, the municipality cannot just outright give money to a nonprofit. There has to be some sort of contract involved. It would be very benign, but there has to be a contract involved. I don't know if it's the same for the county. Mr. Estes might be the best one to answer that question. But if there is, when you prepare all the stuff, maybe you should, just for the sake of making everything easy, have some sort of benign contract involved so that you're getting a service from them and not just giving them money.
Right, Well, that's right, that's what we're gonna do. the research is all. That's what we're gonna do, the research.
But still, the municipality cannot just outright give money to any nonprofit. They have to have some sort of contract saying, well, yeah, I didn't know.
Yes, sir. Okay. Any more comments or questions? If not, I need a motion to, I need a motion. Got a motion? Got a second? Everybody in favor? Aye. Thank y'all very much. Have a good evening. Appreciate that.